I guess when I was a kid, I realized I was different than my friends and that I like to look at things. But it wasn't until later when I got my first pair of sunglasses that I started looking at the sky, because before my eyes were too sensitive to really look at the sky. And so that was a big turning point for me, just to start seeing things I hadn't seen before. I started going around and looking at things, and I started painting for the first time in my life. Okay, I became an art student at UCSB, and during that time, certain impulses came together, and one of the impulses was walking along the beaches there, and I focused on the difference between the light on the ocean and the light in the sky. The other element that was really important to me was the gradation. And I started looking at what I call a gradation, which is usually 15, 20 minutes after the sun goes down. And California is particularly beautiful, a warm sort of purple to violet. I put those into combination to get paintings like this. Gradation has been kind of my source forever. It still is. In the traditional Western civilization, we're taught to separate significant figures from insignificant grounds. I was concerned about making paintings that had no focus points, making paintings that you gazed at rather than stared at. So I made these paintings that you couldn't focus on. And the idea at the time was to stop your internal dialogue. In other words, just stop your inner voice that's always talking. At the time, I was reading the Don Juan books, the teachings of Don Juan, Carlos Castaneda.
Hailed as the grandfather of the New Age, Castaneda inspired a generation to set off in search of spiritual enlightenment and an alternative reality.
Some of the finest minds today have actually come to me and told me they would be nothing without my father.
By the end of the year, I was reading all of his books, and they influenced me a great deal, So that's what I was thinking when I first started these paintings. California doesn't have very good skies, and I miss seeing those beautiful western skies. I wanted to find a place in the West where I could have a good art market and still live in the country. I lived for the first year in Santa Fe and then moved out here. And I've really been out here ever since. That's, 30 years. And when I moved out here, I thought, you're free here to do whatever you wanted. And it hasn't left. I still feel that way.
What's the story behind the room paintings?
To be honest, they wore me out. They were so hard to make. Like it would take maybe a month to paint a painting, and I was just drained. The first ones I did were like rooms for people that had died. I remember one was for River Phoenix, Joaquin Phoenix's brother. And I did those for, 20 years. This is called Retirement at 30,000 Feet. And it came because of a flight that I took, and on the way we saw these clouds at 30,000 feet. unbelievable clouds, you know. And so I made this painting to celebrate that.
How many photos of the sky do you think you have taken here in New Mexico?
Thousands.
Thousands.
Thousands, yeah. That's, I feel, is one of my big responsibilities, to make sure that I photograph every significant sky that I see.